What's up, everybody? Good to have you here. This thing's kind of blowing up, so we may not be able to do these Zoom calls too long. We have to switch to like webinars, but it's nice being with everybody here and seeing everyone's faces and all of that. So we'll get rolling here in like a minute. We've got the famous Darby Rollins here with us, the guy that wrote the book in 72 hours. I messaged him this morning to kind of game plan this thing, and he said, well, I'll take a little break because I'm writing another book in 24 hours. So he's going to try to break his own 4-minute mile. And then I was talking about what he's going to do this weekend. He said, well, he's writing another book over the weekend. So you guys are in for a treat here. This is kind of groundbreaking stuff to be able to crank out this many books. And then he was talking about how maybe he wants to write 100 books this year and put all those out there. And so I do think of it like the 4-minute mile. It's like, it sounds, nuts, and nobody's doing it, and then somebody does it, and then all of a sudden that gives inspiration for everybody else to do it. And so, I think my goal, of this call is to help you, be inspired and just see the process of doing it, kind of have like that, roadblock lifted from you. And then, hopefully here in the next week, we're gonna have a challenge, for anybody that wants to try this process and write a book in a week. I'll explain some more details about that. But if you've always wanted to write a book and have it as a lead magnet or some authority piece, or just to like say you've got some best-selling Amazon book, next to your name or whatever, this is gonna be a super, super easy way to get out high quality content. And I've checked out the book. I mean, I've read through a lot of it. It's like legit. It's not just like, robot text, filler text. It's something that like looks really good. You would never think this was like written by using AI. You'd think this is a great tool. This is a great author that clearly knows their stuff. And Darby does know his stuff on this topic. But yeah, so with that, let's go and get started. Darby, you there? Are you unmuted?
I'm here.
Beautiful. So Darby, we're going to kind of have you unpack this. And by the way, guys, here, I'll share the quick agenda for the call. So, like what's coming up and how long you want to stick around and all that. Okay, cool. So we're gonna talk about how to write a book and publish it in under 72 hours. That's gonna be the first thing we dig into here. How to write and publish that book. We're gonna go through that step by step here so you can kind of follow along. And then our goal is to create a guide that you can follow along with this here. Then we're gonna do a little Q&A around that. Any questions you have. We're going to talk about, past that, some of the new product features and updates that we've made into the app, and a special surprise I've got for you. So stick around for that. And then if anyone's new to it, I mean, last week we did a call where we talked more about kind of just Conversion AI 101, how to get the most out of the product and do all that. Stick around to the end. We're going to go back into that content. I'm going to give you kind of an overview and answer just, basic questions about how to get good results and how to navigate the app and how everything works there. So that's the plan. Book, feature updates, and special surprise, and then walkthrough tutorial, Conversion AI 101. But first, the book. So Darby, tell us, a bit about why you wanted to write the book and kind of how you came up with that idea.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first, before I dive into it, thank you for building such an awesome tool that's like been the catalyst for this process in general. But like a lot of people, I'm sure here on the call, had an idea to write a book for years, right? Everyone, me anyways, have always thought it'd be awesome to say I'm a published author. But, even just writing any sort of like long form blog content or post on a topic that I was knowledgeable about was always a roadblock. So I would just sit, I would stare at a screen. I'd say, nah, I'd rather go out and do other stuff to, grow my business. But I've been playing around with the Conversion AI tool for the past month or so. And last Friday, Sean Volster had put a really interesting bit together about the framework that he was using to like write out a blog post. And it immediately like inspired me. I was hanging out with Austin at the time, and we were jamming about like, hey, how could we like build out some real cool like pillar pieces of content that really position you as an authority, in a niche or on a topic that you are interested in expanding your knowledge on, or sharing people like where your knowledge is at there. And that was on Friday afternoon. And so I kind of jumped into Conversion AI and pulled up a Google Doc and put together like a 5,000 word or so kind of like brain dump of stuff that I would say. And I was like, cool, like what the core aspect of my business is copywriting for Amazon listings, writing, converting Amazon listings and building things of that nature. So I was like, well, that's where I'm gonna start. I'm gonna kind of use this framework and build it out there. And I got to that initial piece of content, and I was like, well, why stop there, right? I woke up on Saturday morning. I was like, it'd be cool. Like, I got a whole weekend right now. I don't have anything really planned. I'm just gonna set a goal for myself and see if I can write a book and publish it on Amazon by Monday. Because I knew that Amazon has their like Kindle book publishing and do like the print on demand, and they've got a really good system behind it.
Had you ever done that? Had you ever like published something on Amazon?
No, but I mean, I've launched a lot of products on Amazon, like other like physical goods, things of that nature.
All right. So those of you that have never done this, you're thinking, he's probably an expert. He's probably done this all the time. He's never done this before. He'd never done this before at all. He just figured it out. So don't let that be a roadblock.
Yeah. And that's the thing is they make it super easy to do this, really. Like anyone can go and throw an ebook up, like honestly, like this time next week, no problem. If you just follow this process. And so, yeah, I had an idea for a book in mind for years. I said, hey, I'm going to write a book that would be like an authority piece that I could use to like present to potential clients that I might work with in consulting and e-commerce and Amazon copywriting. So I came up with the title Amazon Copywriting Secrets. Before I started writing, just, marketing space, expert secrets. I thought it might, pique my interest anyways. And then I got to going on like building out the book essentially. So I took the core blog post article, and this is what you can see it right here.
Here's the book. So you already bought it. You guys should go buy it here, and we'll get the first AI written book become an Amazon bestseller. You've also got the paperback version. It's not only just a Kindle version, but then now there's a paperback you can buy.
Yeah, there is. So you can submit your book to Amazon through their publishing, and you can choose to do just a Kindle ebook, or you could choose to do a paperback. And it just requires a little bit more uploading and formatting, I guess, for the paperback version. But basically, this entire outline here was what I had to break down from the blog post, like the initial content dump that I did on Friday.
Yeah.
On Saturday, a lot of my time was spent like, okay, now that I got like the ideas out there, like how do I now like break it out a little bit more, and how do I chunk it into different sections, right? And so I kind of had like, acquisition, conversion, and retention was going to be kind of the theme of it. And then inside of those themes, I just broke it down to like, what are the main talking points that I want to hit on, and in what order do they make sense to go in? So a lot of what like my Saturday was spent doing was just like hashing through the content and kind of organizing a little bit more, because I wasn't quite as organized as if I would do it again a second time. And so it just took a little bit more time on the editing there. But basically, like once I got everything like broken out, it was like a huge like relief, because I could just look at the table of contents and say like, oh, this is like exactly what every point of the book is going to talk to, start to finish.
So you started with like the head, or with like the title, basically, at least the topic or the theme. Then you kind of listed out this stuff here.
Yep.
And did you just do this yourself? Did you use Jarvis for any of this? Or was this kind of like you could come up on your own with like how you wanted to structure the book?
So like initially my whole idea was just to do like part one. And that was basically what the blog post was going to be. Because the problem that like I run into a lot with people that want to sell on Amazon, and like they want to like start their own private label brand or whatever. It's like, you can't just throw a listing up and hope people get there, right? There's a lot of factors that go into play. And so that was really what the initial dump was. And then, but I was like, okay, if I want to like expand out on this, there's a lot of other things that go into the marketing side of it. And there's a lot of other channels that people that do want to sell on Amazon should just be aware of, to know that like, hey, you could use Facebook ads, you could do Amazon ads, you can use all these things. So I basically just like touched on a lot of that in part two from the conversion, or the build it, they will come, is like, how do you actually get people to your listing? And then it's like, okay, how do you actually get people to convert when they're there? And then part three is like, okay, now they bought from you, how do you deliver such a good customer experience so that they'll come back and buy from you again? And so that you get that like, okay, you made the sale, now how do you bring that customer back, deliver an awesome product or experience? And that was like, hey, thank you for my TED Talk or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. But you kind of had that. I mean, you could probably, as you guys are looking at this, if you don't have kind of the exact things, you could probably go and use like the blog post outline as kind of like the different sections, right?
That's basically, that's what I did. It was like, I would like ask it a few different questions around like, hey, like, how do you write a listing on Amazon? Or like what is Amazon copywriting? Were a few things I did. And so it gave me out like what is storytelling and marketing and stuff like that. And it would like basically build out like the topics for the different paragraphs and sections.
Look at this. What is Amazon copywriting? What is Amazon copywriting, dude? There it is. We found it. I'm getting the same ones that you got.
Yeah. And so like, and so the thing when I was going through this initially was like, I got a lot of them and they would start to like, I would see some similarities, right? Because it was around the same kind of topic. And so I ended up copying and pasting over more than I needed to. And all that did was just make me spend a little bit more time editing and taking some of the repetitiveness out. But it maybe like 3 or 4 blog post title topic, like, press go. And like, I had the outline for like a chapter, like, or a full section that I wanted to build. And so once I had that structured in the Google Doc, I would go to the sentence expander. And
so you might even kind of like, so you use this maybe to kind of create your high level stuff.
Yeah. High level.
And then, you could kind of go into that and say, okay, well, this is, chapter 1. Let's like build out some bullet points around this. Like, what is good Amazon copywriting? And it's like, generate some stuff there. Amazon copywriting, it's like, okay, well, here's starting to, structure inside of that chapter. You can kind of keep like working down the chart that way.
And like some of these can be their entire, like an entire chapter on their own. Right. And so just like understanding, and like, that's where like, that's where like having like expert knowledge and like how a process works, like, is going to help make this so much easier than just trying to like act like you are. Cause like, if I were to get this completely backwards because I didn't know what I was talking about in real life and just expect the AI to throw it up, like it would not have read as smoothly. Like, people would be able to tell like, okay, this guy, like, why is he including stuff like this? Like, this isn't how it's done. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And so there was definitely edits that needed to happen, but using like the sentence expander was like the biggest game changer here. Cause you can get this out. I'm like, cool. Like, now I want to get ideas for like, how am I going to start and expand on this paragraph? You just take one of these bullet points, go put it in sentence expander. And then now you have like a paragraph or 2 for that topic. And then I could just like hash those out as much as I needed to, and however long I needed that section to be. And
hey, Darby, may I hop in here real quick?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, I think something that you said was interesting, that, you're now in this more orchestration mode. You're no longer having to be the violinist that does the actual copywriting, yet you're orchestrating and kind of putting together all of these pieces. And you know how to do that because you are quite the expert yourself, right? You number 1 on Upwork for creating Amazon listings. And like, you've done this, so you actually are coming from experience, yet you're using this as a tool to enhance the content and knowledge. And now you're able to like orchestrate it kind of together like a conductor. Is that, am I on point there?
Yeah. It's like, anyone that is like a copywriter or looking to like listen to what their customers are saying to them in general, is like, the customers usually give you all the answers anyways. Right. And so a lot of like the questions that I'm asking Jarvis are things that I get asked all the time by people that are looking to launch stuff on Amazon. Right. And so like, it's as simple as like, what are the FAQs that you get all day, every day? If you want to like expand on those topics, you just need to know what those questions are and what's the solution to provide to those questions. And then you're basically just like pointing Jarvis in the right direction.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Good point there.
Okay. So you're going through there, you're kind of taking it and you're using the sentence expander. What was next in the process, or how did you, continue that on?
Yeah. So the sentence expander, like, once I did that and like really like grew out all of the different sections, chapters, the paragraphs, and everything that I wanted in there, I had to like put a hard stop on me just like building it and then taking it to like my girlfriend, spent a few hours with me on Saturday, Sunday, like going through and reading it and just giving me like points and comments on like what it would be like to edit, right? Because like I was already so close to it. My eyes were like, oh my gosh, I've been staring at a screen for like 8 hours straight. And so she like took a walk through and was like, okay, like this section's a little clunky. Just it's like good prompts, but you need to like expand and give more examples here. So she just gave me human feedback on how it was like really reading. So once she did that, I took it back and then did the second round draft and gave it to her. She's like, oh my gosh, it's night and day. Now that you've added a little bit more human touch to it, you've a little more spice here and there. You took out some of the fluff that just wasn't needed. Like more isn't always better when you're writing. It's about like, how can you get the message across? And so once that was done, I was like, all right, like, cool. Like I got like, it was like close to 16,000 words, I think, total on the thing. And that's when I took it over to the Kindle publishing site, basically. And I needed to figure out like, how do I actually format this for Amazon? Like I said, they make it really easy to do. You basically you go and like put your title, description, everything in there that you want. And then you upload like a manuscript in like a doc or PDF format. But Amazon will literally give you like all the different sizes, like for like 5x8 was the one I decided to choose, like 6x11. You could do like larger sizes if you want. And so once you I just formatted it in the Word doc, and then I uploaded it as like a PDF. And then I literally went to Canva and made the cover off of a free template. I mean, you could hire people off 99 Designs to do that or whatever, but.
And you said it was about 16,000 words that you submitted in.
15, 16, somewhere in there.
Okay. And in total, you said you used about like 21,000 words in Jarvis.
Yeah. Over the course of the weekend, I probably processed about 20 to 22,000, I think, when I was looking at the numbers earlier today.
Okay.
So I didn't use all of them, obviously. But Amazon, one thing I didn't know before was like Amazon requires that you have a minimum of, I think it's 100 pages for it to be able to go to print version. Or if it's not, then you just do a Kindle ebook. But that's basically just like 50 pages front and back on like a 5x8 book, the way that I printed it out.
You just increased the font size a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, 20 extra pages. Okay, cool. So 22,000 words used in Conversion.ai. You spit out 16,000 words, edit it, provide some polish. Like, how much of the content would you say was Conversion.ai, percentage versus kind of you putting your touch on it and your own spin on it?
Probably, I think at the end of the day, it was probably about 80% of the core content was Conversion.ai with my direction. And then the other bit is like my personality and my story and my just adjustments of the content and filling in the gaps where I just like, I'll just write out a few paragraphs right here because, I'm like using examples from like projects and like stuff that I've done in the past that it's just not going to like know exactly how to say that.
Yeah. I mean, like even for this, I mean, it's like, okay, how would I update this? I mean, Jarvis just spit this out from, one sentence. Like, what was the sentence I gave it? And I gave it this sentence in the sentence expander. It gives me this. It's like, now I'm going to turn this into, better formatted. I'm going to break this out into different paragraphs. For many companies, Amazon's a major source of income and revenue. It's like all of a sudden you're adding like personal stories. For most, of my career, I've worked with companies doing all their sales on Amazon, and you're just adding like personal, tidbits and stuff like that there. Is that kind of like what you're doing? It's like breaking it out, adding some personal stories, deleting some fluff or something like that?
Yeah. Like you basically hit the nail on the head there. I mean, like, because I tend to write, like when I'm writing like copy for like, just like sales things, like I tend to split things up like a lot of lines.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't going to read well like that in a book. It was going to just take up a lot more space. And so, and to edit it, stuff like that as well. And so a lot of it was like, okay, how many like sentences does this paragraph need to be? Okay, I need to split this up here because it actually makes more sense on the transition side of things. And especially the introduction is where I ended up really expanding on a lot more of like my personal story in the conclusion, because, you know, like leading into it, people need to understand like why should I even like continue reading in the first place? And, you know, but, you know, once you get, you know, people into like actually understanding the content, like now it's just like, okay, how can I just spit like the facts that are out there? And that's where Jarvis was just, you know, a real game changer.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Okay, cool. So you kind of submitted all in there. You know, what happened from that point? It just got published?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like whenever you're submitting it, you like upload a book cover, you add like about the book and you like little Amazon's editor, like an about the author, which Jarvis helped a little bit with too. Just spitting some stuff out there. Once you submit it, Amazon says takes up to about 72 hours for it to get approved and published. So it's basically just like, cool, it's submitted. It's a waiting game until it goes live. But once I did the paperback version, it just was like, hey, do you want to make this an ebook too? And so it took like 15, 30 seconds to just go through and submit the ebook version. And when you're doing this, like Amazon's like, what kind of like royalty percentages do you want on each sale? Because they'll promote this book in the Kindle store and they'll put it out there. And so there's like a few different percentages that you can take as far as in like you being the author goes. It's not, I mean, I'm never like, my plan isn't to make money from the actual book. Like I'd have to sell a ton of copies to make like the book actually like generate like substantial money. But like now the work has been done, and now this is something that I can go and hand to somebody who could be like a potential client of mine and say like, hey, like this is like a little bit about my process. This is how I look at things. This is what I do. Like give it a read, you know, take you an hour and a half. Like it's not too dense, but you know, if it makes sense to talk after that, like let me know. So that's kind of my selfish reason why behind it is to, you know, like grow my business, but you know, it's still got some really good content for anyone that's interested in just how do you sell a product on Amazon in the first place.
Yep. And did you use other templates besides blog outline, sentence expander? Did you use anything else, or was it kind of those two?
I think probably some like maybe like the blog idea type of things, but I mean, those are really the core ones.
Did you use like AIDA or anything? I was kind of saying like, you know,
No,
the beginning of your, of your one, like
Yeah,
want to sell more products on Amazon.
Yeah. So that was something that I think I kind of skimmed over. Like I didn't really touch on earlier. Once I wrote like the sentence expander aspect of it, I would, especially like in the introduction part, but I would go and do like problem, agitate, solution for like a lead into a paragraph, or like, hey, how do we like touch, like, you know, agitate the problem a little bit more? How do we like focus on this is the problem with hiring a bad Amazon copywriter? And then the AIDA, like same type of thing. I was just like looking for areas in the book as it flowed that those made sense to kind of plug in. They tend to be better when you're like leading into a paragraph and like opening up like this article explains why it's important to use storytelling in marketing, you know?
Yep. Okay, cool. So you're kind of using this to like frame up some of the angles on the book. You know, again, it seems like your book kind of starts that way, you know?
Yeah.
You got to sell them on why they even read the book. So it's like this, you know, this almost reads like a sales letter here. Like you're selling, and even like kind of that format, right?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like sell them hard, you know, at the beginning, and then like, you know, get more into like the meat of it.
Yeah.
Past that.
That was something that like when my girlfriend was reading it, she was like, you gotta like, you can't write this whole thing like a sales letter. Like it has to read more like a book at the core of it. And I was like, okay, sorry. Cause like I wrote the entire book like that. But like, I get what she's saying, right? Like you need to sell someone on it, but then it's just easier to read when you kind of condense it down and like, and just, you know, turn it into more like, okay, here's the facts, here's the information, here's what it is. And then I close it out with basically like another, like, this is that, you know, you've learned this, you know, if you want to learn more, like reach out and we can chat.
Yeah, totally. Beautiful. What questions do you guys have? You know, let's ask some questions here and have Darby answer them. So one question, did you make all the edits yourself, or did you hire a technical writer? Was it all you?
It was myself. Austin gave it a little bit of a look over, and our other buddy, Alex, who was sharing the weekend, and my girlfriend. So, you know, my parents are both writers and teachers in English growing up. And so I've, been, fortunate enough to like have a pretty good understanding of like writing stuff like this kind of goes. But if I were to do this at like scale, I would absolutely like hire an editor to come through and like spend a lot more time doing and coming through the details, just because it's just a lot of time to go back and read the same thing that you've written 5 times.
So Nate asked, if you were to do it all again, would you do anything different the second time around? For those of you guys that missed it, Darby's trying to write another book today in 24 hours. And then he's writing another book over the weekend. So today, your second time around, how would you approach it different?
Yeah, I'm being a lot more specific with how I want to build out like the table of contents. And I'm going into, before I even start pasting a lot of the content, is I'm getting that layout very crystal clear, so that when I know that what every section of the book is going to be, it's going to follow the same like sentence expander, go on top of it, AIDA framework with it. But I'm starting a lot more so with like, what does the framework of it look back? And I'm not writing as much, rather than I'm just like building out that first to save time in the end.
So if you were to write a book in 10 hours, and that is a challenge I'm giving you. If you write a book in 10 hours, like how many hours would you kind of spend just on like the architecture and the outline and kind of that before you'd get into writing out paragraphs and like actually writing the meat of the book?
I would spend the majority of the time like prepping for it. Like I would think of it like, if you're going to like build like a house, you don't want to like build it on like a really crummy foundation that you're going to have to go and fix multiple times, rather than just spending a little bit of extra time getting all the measurements right and done in the first place, and being clear with what the outcome really looks like to you.
So would you kind of like spend 3 hours doing that, and then 2 hours, 5 hours?
I don't know. This is only the second time I've done it, so I'll let you know how much time I spent.
Yeah. Sweet. Emery asked, were you able to seed from a paragraph you generated in order to expand into a chapter, or did you mostly seed from what you had personally mapped out?
So Jarvis did give me ideas on stuff that I can continue to touch on, which was kind of nice, with how he would like still generate fresh ideas that I might have said and to some degree, but then I would take what he essentially would wrote and it's like, oh, I could actually touch on that and expand on that a little bit, because that's a really good point that he brought up.
Sorry guys, my camera went bananas there. Tyler, you asked how many words in Jarvis did it take? About 22,000 is what he used in his account. And that produced about the final version was about 16,000. Some of that was Darby in there writing and editing and all that. But yeah, about 22,000 was what he used. If you have a proper outline, like you already know the topics and what you want to write the book, then what template would you suggest to use? If you already have like the outline all mapped, where do you go from there?
If you have the outline, I would take the outline and then, then like, if you want to like, if the outline is just chapters, then I would do like the blog post outline that might bullet out like what I'm going to talk about in that chapter, and then just take what I bullet out and then move it to the sentence expander and then build it out from there.
I do have another question. Sorry for talking out loud. There is a beta template that's the long form marketing content. So my question to Darby is that do you think that it will be of any help to write bigger content or write bigger books like 30K words or 40K words?
Is that one live yet, Dave?
No, that one's not even live yet. So yeah, Darby doesn't even have access to that. But that's going to be, I'm still working on that, but it's going to be just a better way to write longer form, more like direct response. Even like that's not going to be great for books, but more kind of like direct response, like marketing emails and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you think Jarvis can make recipes?
Probably. I will say, I was, so my girlfriend's a painter and she does like a lot of acrylic painting. And so I said, hey, Rachel, come in here. I want to show you this tool. And I was like, I actually used the sentence expander for this. And I just asked it a question like, hey, Jarvis, how do you paint with acrylic paints? And it spit out like a 4-point bulleted process. And she, like, her jaw hit the floor. Like, she was like, oh my God, like, people don't know that unless you go through the process of doing it.
Yeah.
So maybe it can do the something similar for
all right, so here's our
that,
recipe: how to make a great cheesecake. Pre-oven to 350, mix together. All of that. That's pretty good. Yeah, so you'd have to like probably piece together, you know, some of this, you know, maybe list the ingredients for a cheesecake. Let's try this homemade cheesecake. Graham crackers, let's say with measurements. Come on. That's pretty good, guys.
Wow.
I've never done that before at all. That's pretty good. So yeah, you know, it's like, now would this come up with like a fully coherent, this is definitely going to work recipe? That's another question. You know, it's like, if you took this and then did this, you know, it's like, those aren't necessarily tied together, and, you know, it won't necessarily do that. But like, if you already knew, you know, how to make cheesecake, I think it can help you like structure a lot of that and like give you the words to like do that. And you just have to kind of like fact check, yes, this in fact would work to make a cheesecake.
Hey, Darby, I know that there was you're being, from a family of English teachers, plagiarism is very important for you, that you don't, you create original content. This is, based on your own knowledge, and then, expanded with Jarvis. How was the result of when you put your book through a plagiarism test? What was the result there?
I mean, there was none. It was pretty mind blowing. And I wrote an article today for another client, a 1,000-word blog post on like the travel industry, and like knocked it out in like 30 minutes, said and done. And again, like no plagiarism. Like it's pretty crazy that that's possible. But I mean,
yeah. Some people have been asking about these around the plagiarism, and my answer right now is like check. The way that it's trained is by reading huge chunks of the internet. And so it definitely knows all of these sentences, and it's not programmed to just repeat them, but there might be some times when it just does. And I don't fully know the answer to that. So, I mean, it should be original content, but maybe like any of us might repeat something pretty much word for word for what we heard. It might do that at some points here. So yeah, if you guys check that, let me know. But I've checked it a few times and haven't seen problems with duplicate content, but yeah, be sure to check that. Darby, did you use the content improver at all?
I didn't, not for this. I definitely think there's a place for it. I spent more manual time improving the content myself, but that's probably an area for opportunity to test out.
Yep. Okay.
Natalie asked earlier if any of the content from your book could be repurposed, maybe for blog articles and things like that. Do you see use, there as like this, being able to create more content in the future with the same outputs?
Absolutely. I know of a few authors that have written blogs for like years, and then they just combine all those blogs and put it into a book. I don't see any reason why I can't take different chapters and different segments from this book and just repurpose it as content of mine for the rest of the year, which is part of like where the value of like having all the content in one place is, and getting it out this weekend. I basically just created like an entire year's worth of content that I can repurpose in social media posts, on a blog, wherever.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, this could be video scripts, and this is emails. It's like, it's just repurposed into everything.
Yeah, Darby and I are going to work on my book this upcoming weekend. And the way I'm thinking about it is these are just like the outlines for a podcast series that works alongside of the book. And so you could either like kind of listen to the book in form of a podcast, 7-minute chapters, You know, or you'll have, you know, the book that you can read through, and, you know, you can hop in any of the chapters. They're individual lessons. You know, so kind of think about it as like a la carte. Each chapter is on its own, but they do have like a cohesive theme. And so that's another approach to writing a book here that you guys might be, you know, interested. I'll let you know how that goes.
Sweet. All right. So here's my challenge for y'all, an opportunity. You're here because you want to write a book. You're here because you've been thinking about a book in the back of your head and you want to get it out there. Well, now's your chance. So and by the way, I had no idea anybody would use Conversion.ai to write a book. So this is a new use case to me. But if anybody writes and publishes a book in the next week, we will cover all the credits that you use for it up to 25,000. So basically I'll just dump 25,000 extra credits into your account. And you're going to go in the Conversion.ai Hall of Fame for all of history as the second person to run the 4-minute mile here and write a book super, super quick. That's my offer to you. So we will cover all of that. Again, I'll just dump 25,000 credits. Darby wrote his full book with 22,000 credits, so it should give you extra there. And we will celebrate that, put you in the Hall of Fame. And, you know, the biggest benefit of all is you'll finally have that book out there that you've always wanted. And so it's got to be published on Amazon by the end of the day on Wednesday. You know, if there's some hang up with Amazon's, you know, approval process, something like that, we'll figure something out there. But it's got to be up by then. And yeah, we'll be excited to read it all. So if you think you're going to do that and you want to do that, let me know, you know, in the comments that you're going to go for that. I'll make a list and kind of see who's able to do that. And maybe Darby will be around to answer some questions, stuff like that on there. I will give you guys this little article, a Notion doc that Darby put together about his process there. So you've got that whole thing to follow. But yeah, would love to challenge you guys to do that and celebrate with you as you go out there and make that happen. People ask, can we get the Cliff Notes? Yeah, you can have that. Okay, a lot of people in. If you write with personality in the blog post outline, will Jarvis pick that up and respond with answers in that same tone? Yeah, basically, you know, your input has a big impact on the outputs there. And so there's even a lot of templates. If you write in a different language, you input a different language, it'll spit out text in the other language there. So yeah, so what you put in there, you know, really should impact the tone of the output there. Would there be a way we could blacklist certain words or things that we don't want Jarvis to write about? For example, if doing a sentence expander for a sentence about SEO, would it be possible to blacklist something like backlinks and have Jarvis write a piece? We don't have that built out now. What you can try and do, this is kind of a hack. You can try and tell Jarvis, like in the text box of the input, like, do not mention backlinks, and like put that in there. And so, you know, I'll just show you here real quick. Yeah, if you're using the sentence expander, you know, let's do this. It's like, do not use the word copywriting in the output. This may work, it may not work. Generate that. Oh, use the word copywriting. So that'd be the thing you could try on some of that. Sometimes they'll kind of take instructions there, but we don't have a way to kind of blacklist words at this point. All right, Carlin's in, Jan's in, Matt's in, Sierra's in, Nate's in. Is it anyone who finishes or just the first person? Anyone who finishes, Emery. Anyone who finishes by Wednesday at the end of the day is in. Yep, we'll add that quick summary there. Cool. So people are in. I love that. Let's get you in the Hall of Fame. And yeah, we are all living in the year 3020 over here, just putting out one book a day. Any other questions for Darby before we kind of transition? I want to tell you guys about a couple of upcoming features here.
One thing I do think is really cool about the approach Darby has gone is that you don't have to get it right. You just have to get it going. These books that are digitally on Amazon can have iterations and variations. And so you can continue to update this. And so in the next 7 days, when you write your book, it doesn't have to be the final published book. The point is to get it live and, become a published author. And you can always do a version 2. I mean, heck, you can make it like an ongoing growing book. Yeah, I think that's an approach that, you know, that we do in software. It's like, this is always a constant growing product. And you can now do that in books.
That's a really good call out, Austin. I was worried as well. I was one thing, I was like, you write it once and it's out there forever. But I mean, I had to make a couple really minimalistic edits. Amazon reviewed it, and then the book was back being live. So don't let that hold you back. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. Couple updates I want to give you guys about the product here. Another special surprise we've got for you. So got a couple new templates. If you guys didn't see that, just wanted you to know that those are in here. If you go to templates section and scroll down, I added marketing angles and persuasive bullet points. Marketing angles are great to come up with different approaches to communicating your value to your customers. And so it's kind of like looking at different sides of the diamond. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. It's like some people want to use your service or your tool, your offer to save money or to lose weight or to, you know, look better or to save time or to release stress or whatever. Each offering probably has, you know, 10 to 30 different ways to come at it here. Each one of those ways could be an entirely different email, entirely different Facebook ad, an entirely different blog post. And it's like our job as, you know, marketers is to go out there and speak to all of those different angles there. And it's really hard to kind of come up, especially because, you know, I've got a few that I know resonate with me, but like, I don't know everybody else's. And so I've been using this to just generate ideas for totally different angles to hit on, you know, Conversion.ai is because that's like a lot of the marketing I'm writing out right now, but other tools as well here. And so try that out. It should just give you a list of like great different ways to come at it. And then the other one I'm really liking is these persuasive bullet points here. And so, I think bullet points is just a great way to, you know, visually draw the eye to certain, you know, aspects, certain benefits there. Like I just wrote an email and sent it out to our email list about Conversion.ai this morning. It was kind of this big wall of text. It's like, okay, I need some bullet points here. You know, I just quickly wrote this, generated this. It's like, okay, here's like the quick bullet points about the benefits or some of the different benefits about Conversion.ai. Took this, pasted it word for word into the email. Some of you guys might have gotten the email and you'll see that in there. A really, really easy way to like take these, add it to your website, add it to your, you know, again, this would be, I'll probably put this in the Facebook post later today, you know, kind of quickly talking about all the benefits you're going to get from Conversion.ai there. And so, you know, really great way to go and spice up and like add some more interesting appeal to your marketing, your writing right there. One of the things a lot of people have been asking about how to upgrade account or how to like upgrade words. Just to kind of know, if you go into up here, go to usage and billing or settings, usage and billing, you come down here, you can always change to any plan that you want. We've got plans over 500,000 if you need more than that. And some people are asking about, you know, plans in the millions and stuff like that there. How this works is whenever you upgrade, like let's say you're in the middle of the month and, you know, you want more words, you can go to that. And it's actually, again, I don't have an active account or active trial set up on mine. You'll pay the difference between the plan that you're on and the plan that you're moving to. So this is a $49 a month plan. There's a $29 a month plan. So you would pay $20 on the day that you upgraded that plan. And right then, all of those words will be dumped into your account and you'll now have access to all of those extra words as well there. If you don't upgrade, like let's say you just want to be on the 20,000 and you're about to go over, you can just let it roll. And then basically we'll add like packs of 5,000 words to your account for $10 each. And you could just do that again. If you're just going to like go over a little bit, that's fine. You can use that. But if you're going to go over a lot, you know, it's definitely cheaper to upgrade. I mean, like this, in this example, you know, you could get 15,000 more words for an extra $20. If you just did that with like the overage packs, it would cost you $30 to do that. So definitely, you know, be coming in here, grab what you want. It gets cheaper and cheaper as you get more words. So you get a better and better deal as you keep going there. But some questions around that. And then one other thing people have been asking about, we're going to update this here now, but this is just like a place to like send us some product feedback. If you want to chat with support, click on the arrow, like the question mark down here and click chat with support. And you can always chat with us inside the app there. It's not real visible. We're going to make that easier to see. But this is just kind of more of like product feedback there. And then one other thing that we're going to do for you guys, people have been asking about, a little bit more test credits and, what do I do if I'm getting some duplicate content or some bad content, something like that. We're going to create better ways to kind of like flag that and like not have to pay for that, whatever. But what we want to do is just kind of a gift to you guys, because everyone's been awesome and playing around with it, is we're going to add 5,000 credits to everyone's account, just as a gift, just to like, feel free to play more. Again, if you get some bad stuff or, whatever, don't worry about it. We're going to cover it here. I haven't asked engineers about this. I don't actually know how to do that, but we're going to do it. And so it'll be in your account, by Monday at the latest, where you'll see that there. So anyway, 5,000 on me, play around with it, have at it, and enjoy. And then in the future, what we'll probably do is like, as you flag stuff that's not high quality, we'll just remove that. Maybe you'll get like 1,000 words a month, of like, flagged content that you can just remove from your account. So again, I don't want you to pay for anything that's not high quality and is just duplicate content there. So look for the 5,000 as our gift to you. With that, any questions about any of that before we kind of roll into like Conversion AI 101, just some like general tips and tricks? Any questions about the book writing, about the new templates, about the credits, about the upgrades, anything there? Sweet. Yeah. You guys get words, you get some words, you get some words. So yeah, we want to be generous with you guys and make it easy to go out there and create and not have to worry about the word count so much. Dan said, any ways to filter or sort the content view? Yeah, we don't have like a great, one of the things on the roadmap is, making it better or easier to like organize stuff and like, obviously like manage different clients, but I'd say it's all like pretty rudimentary right now way of doing it. We definitely want to improve that and are working on some ways to kind of do that. And so they don't have anything yet, but yeah, like eventually this is going to be able to be sorted by different tags and different, frameworks, and you'll have a place you can swap into different client accounts or different projects, stuff like that. I know it's all rudimentary right now, but we're definitely working on better ways to go out there and show that, so that you guys can keep stuff organized and not have to dump it all into Notion or something like that. Does favoriting teach Jarvis? Favoriting does not teach Jarvis. Yes, that was one question that somebody had. You'll notice on some of them there's examples. Like this. If you put an example in, it'll kind of fine tune a template a little bit. Some of them there's not examples. Generally, I took out some examples off some where it wasn't actually creating much better output, and I couldn't consistently get the example to be a real beneficial part of the template. As you'll see, like, on project script, like there's not a template right there, or not an example right there. They're mostly kind of like limited to like one line outputs. You can put in there, but yeah, we'll be kind of working on that. But I just didn't find that the examples were helpful on a lot of them here. But some of them you can kind of favorite it. You can go click favorites and add it to your favorite there. That does not teach Jarvis anything. It's not going to improve your outputs by doing that. All that does is it comes over here, goes to the favorite section. You'll be able to see what you just favorited right inside there. And trash doesn't teach Jarvis anything either. The only thing that teaches Jarvis is the inputs over on this side right here on any given run. Some people have asked, like, if I'm writing a bunch of stuff about, you can see, like, as I scroll through these, like, we're working on all different products. Okay, it's this one I'm kind of like thinking about Conversion AI, and this one, I'm writing stuff about beards, and this one I'm writing stuff about, Amazon copywriting secrets. That's okay. It's not learning and kind of honing in on beards when I do a few of those. And then if I like write something about Conversion AI, it's not going to be like the best tool for beards. It only is like what you're inputting like on that given session inside that screen right there. And if I change this to like stuff about beards, it'll just instantly switch over to talking about, beard products there. Good question there. What are the questions you guys have generally about the product here? A couple things that we're, working on, in the near term is long form content, and having a way to write out, more emails, longer form stuff, etc. different client accounts and project accounts. We've got the V1 where you can, I can go switch between the workspace. I can see like, all of you guys are in here. I can go out there and do that. It's kind of V1 if you've got different client accounts that, you just want to pay for. But we're going to be able to switch between projects in here. We're going to create a little referral program here soon where you can like have a little link in here, you share it out. And like, as you refer people, it'd probably be like, you can give someone 5,000 credits and you'll get 5,000 credits whenever they sign up, which is worth about $10 in our product here. So we'll have something like that coming up here too. And then, we're just really taking a lot of feedback from you guys about what you want coming up next year, but those are some of the early ones here. Rebecca, can it help with finding relevant hashtags? Not really. I've kind of tried it before, but Jarvis was trained up on reading the internet up until like the end of 2019. And so it doesn't really know anything about the world since the end of 2019. And yeah, so it's not gonna know any hashtags are like real or like really good right now. Would there be any benefit to put Jarvis's content back into Jarvis, like making burgers out of cows? Yeah, I mean, you can that's mostly what I do is I'll like, use the AIDA framework and I'll say, okay, you're about to discover the secret formula to help you write killer product description somewhere on Amazon. Okay, maybe I want to go and write a Facebook post about that. Okay, so that's my first sentence in my Facebook post. Yeah, this will give me the next few sentences there. You know what feeling you get when you're about to find out your TV show is? That's the same feeling I have when flipping through this book. Okay, it's just definitely about like a book there. But yeah, I'd say most of what I'm doing is I'm pulling stuff from one template and sticking it into another template and expanding it there. What do you think is the best process for lead magnet names? I've been using the Facebook headline creator. Yeah, that's a good question. Probably the Facebook headline creator. Maybe like website headline. I could create a template. I can create a template that's more for like lead magnets or like a little bit more like salesy kind of headlines there. Yeah, maybe website headline as well. How many tones of voices are there? If you come down and click in the question mark, you'll be able to see the support and FAQ. It's gonna open up our help center here. We've got a doc right here on tone of voice. There's not a set list. You can put in whatever you want. Somebody was putting in, we were playing around with what happens if you put in medical as a tone of voice. It's not really a tone of voice, but maybe Jarvis kind of understands what you're talking about there. And so, here's some that we've used, that have worked well. But you can kind of just pick what you want. Eventually I'm gonna make a drop down, I think, that just like gives you maybe 10 you can choose from there, but I would just type in one word there. We have an affiliate program, referral program. Yeah, we are gonna have that, referral program at least out first, where you can, share a link and give, give credits to get credits. And eventually we probably will have an affiliate program to, promote it and, generate some more revenue from your list.
And we'll have the wait list will be published today by the end of the day. And so you can actually opt in for the wait list and be first to know as soon as the partner page goes live.
Sweet. And then just a couple quick, tips, kind of like, Conversion.ai 101 that, I shared last week. So, if you've already seen this and already walked through this, you feel like you understand the app really well, you can roll off here. But for those of you guys that, are new and are just trying it out here in the last couple of days, all of these are templates, right? All of these are very specific versions of marketing copy that we have kind of trained Jarvis on to create some really great outputs there. Most of them start with a product description. In general, the more you put in here, the better. Like, this is not a great product description, frankly. Just something I just did quickly on the fly. But you'll really want to fill this thing up, probably at least 300 words in the product description. This is probably the most important thing you can do, because what you put on the left on the inputs over here really impacts what comes out on the right and the outputs there. But generally with a new product, once I find a product description that works well, I can reuse that over and over and over. So it's like an asset that you want to like really play around with, like how you're describing your product, what information is in there, et cetera. For most of you, Jarvis doesn't actually know about your business. And so if you run I was talking to somebody who was running like a martial arts studio in some city, and, they put the information in there, and Jarvis is kind of putting out like random information about jujitsu. And they're like, oh, we don't do jujitsu, or like this other city that they're not in. Like Jarvis doesn't actually know what your offering is if you're a small company. Now, if I had to write some information about Apple, it would know that, it's read millions of words on Apple, so it would know about iPods and all that. But like if it's just a little small company, it doesn't know. And you're going to see Jarvis spit out some things that are not true, because it's just kind of guessing and putting in filler information. But what you can do is you can make it true, right? So if it's like, we offer jujitsu and, MMA and taekwondo, and you're like, well, we don't do taekwondo, then you just delete it. And then now it's accurate. Or if it's like, we serve, we've sold over 2,000 customers, and you're like, we haven't served 2,000 customers, we only have 800. It's like, well, then you just changed 2,000 to 800, and now it's true. So don't be alarmed if it does that. Any information you really would like it to use, you need to make sure it's in the product description over here. And so if you offer a 14-day trial, and it's over here, and it's like saying, we offer a 30-day money back guarantee, it's like, well, like put the trial information over here, and it's got a much better chance of working its way out into the information over here. People ask about the 400 characters. Right now, we do need to limit it to 400 characters, is the input here. We're working on ways, where we can expand that here, but kind of the way the system works and like what we're able to do with it, we do need to keep this limited, which I know hurts some use cases. For the most part, I found that like, it doesn't need more than 400 to create the templates that we've used there. But I certainly get that there are some things that we could unlock if we were able to have more than 400 characters there. But yeah, for now, we can't do that. We can't expand that there. Emery, I've had a few times the output cuts off mid-sentence as if Jarvis wrote more but got cut off. Yeah, that's going to happen. So basically what's happening there is I have told Jarvis for different templates a certain word count. Now it's not exact, Jarvis doesn't count words like we do, but I've kind of roughly said, hey, like don't go longer than this. And what I'm trying to do there is save, your guys' word count, because sometimes Jarvis can like go off the rails, and he might, even though I give him a bunch of examples that look like this, he might write 1,000 words on something, and he might just kind of keep pumping out stuff about the desire section there. So you will see that sometimes. I'm working on ways to kind of like improve that and like work with Jarvis on that. But that's what's happening, is basically like he starts getting long-winded. He's writing more than all of the examples I've given him, and we're kind of cutting him off and saying like, hey, like go ahead and stop mid-sentence there, so it doesn't just keep cranking out stuff and like, blow up your guys' word count there. So yeah, working on ways to kind of do that, but you will see that. And yeah, Emery, that idea you had to like keep building the story, that's something that we're working on, where you can kind of like maybe click continue, and it'll like keep writing more and more, on that. Or sometimes you guys have seen maybe like on this template, the action doesn't come up, and it's just like attention, interest, desire, and like nothing else there. That's again due to our training. I can't make Jarvis do exactly what we want all the time, and so sometimes you'll see that like, he'll write the action sentence up here in desire, and he'll kind of expand on desire and all of that there. I feel like it hasn't been a huge deal, just because the action's usually like the easiest part to write, and usually it's just click here to get this thing. But yeah, you will see sometimes there'll be some like little nuances, or little things like blog post outline. I might say 8 reasons to buy a used car, and it might only come up with like 6. So there's things that we're working on there. Hopefully that doesn't stop you, and you could just, if you need 11 and it only gives you 6, you could just generate 2 versions and then put those together, and there's your 11 there. And here's an example, so 6. So those are some things that we can do to improve on our end there, where Jarvis is a little bit unwieldy and a little bit hard to do exactly what we want. But that's because he's real AI. This is not just us programming some kind of if this then that statements on the back end. It's really a really intuitive system here. So yeah, good question there. So yeah, go through, play with these, keep giving us feedback. Whenever you guys hit this flag over here, this goes right into a Slack channel that we're all talking through and watching that. So like keep us posted there. We see that all the time, and I'm constantly making updates based on this feedback. And so definitely be, leaving us feedback on like bad descriptions there. Move it to the trash. You can definitely clear stuff out that way, star it, etc. there. But yeah, guys, keep us posted on how all this is going here. I think we're like at the very, very beginning of something that's amazing. We're going to keep doing these trainings every week, giving you guys more ideas about how to write Facebook ads with it and how to write emails with it and all that stuff there. So I think the community is going to be a huge, huge place. And then, yeah, remember, if you guys write a book by the end of next Wednesday, let us know. I would love to celebrate it. I'll buy it and get your sales going on there. Put you in the Hall of Fame and credit you back 25,000 credits so that you've got all of that covered there as well. So yeah, let us know. Or actually, I think we've got a list of that. If you write a book, we'll put you on that list there. Would love to have you guys do that. All right. Any last questions here before we roll? All right, folks. Well, sounds good. Have fun with Jarvis the rest of the day. And we'll see you guys at the top. Peace.